So as a context and ending of this presentation to our further discussion, let me conclude by offering a few summary points. Developing countries have conducted technology needs assessments to identify country-driven priorities for climate technologies, including technologies related to urban development, which we will talk about today. Based on these TNAs, developing countries have developed technology action plans. And it is important to find innovative approaches and solutions which can be applied in different countries with different regions which have different needs. Thank you very much. With that, I would like to hand over to Stella Gama, who will moderate this session. Stella is a member of TEC. She's Deputy Director of Forestry at the Ministry of Natural Resources, Energy and Mining, Department of Forestry in Malawi. And thank you very much. And I give the word to you, Stella.
Thank you very much, Michael, for this opportunity and also for highlighting what the TEC is doing specifically on the TNAs and TAPs. As we have seen, the main priority areas that developing countries have identified in their TNAs for TAP development were energy, waste management, and transport. And in that regard, we have this TEM, which focuses on transport, energy, and waste. And as we may recall, the TEMs are part of technical examination process, focusing on specific policies, practices, and actions representing best practices with potential to scalable and replicable actions. Therefore, this specific event aims at showcasing innovative approaches to urban planning, policies, and technology solutions to deliver emission reductions, but also at the same time to generate sustainable benefits to cities. To kickstart the discussions this afternoon, distinguished delegates and our honorable stakeholders, we have three experts to share innovative approaches in different contexts of, first, bus rapid transit from China, and climate-friendly and also energy efficiency, and also on waste management. Allow me at this point to invite Ms. Xiaomei Duan from China to share examples of the bus rapid transit system developed for multiple cities worldwide. Ms. Xiaomei is the technical director of Far East BRT Planning Company. She has worked in numerous urban transportation projects in China and also the Asia region. She was project in charge of the Guangzhou BRT, the second high-capacity BRT in the world. Guangzhou BRT won the UN Lighthouse Award in 2012, and it has inspired a dozen of cities to implement similar projects in the world. Ms. Xiaomei.
Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will present some new recent innovations in Asian cities and to share with you. And China, like many Chinese cities now, are facing severe, extremely fast urbanization. And we have there will be more than 300 million people will move to the cities and in the next 25 years. So the cities are facing traffic congestions and pollutions and also other social problems. And cities maybe become not livable anymore. Since 2003, and bus priority and sustainable development becomes our national policy. So many cities are follow and also taking actions. In the past 15 years, there are more than 35 cities and implement bus rapid transit project. And but all those projects are not sometimes some are operate in the poor conditions and it's not very well. That's because we need the technical details are right. BRT not just mean build some stations. And so especially in our big cities, and we have more than 10 million or 20 million trips per day. So we have to make everything right. So we need technical support. And the Yichang, this is a very good system we just implemented in China. This city is located in the center of China and not far from the three Gorges dams. And population is 4 million. It's a medium-scale city in China. And they really implement some good systems and also with the unique stations. Look, and see. This is a special directional station. It's different than the Bogota and the South American stations. And so this station design can reduce the station size by 50%, also can accommodate half of the existing fleet. So the government doesn't need to spend a lot of money on the new buses, and especially reduce the station and also save the land. It's very important for Chinese cities. And this station is already applied in 4 cities in China. Also, we are doing the design in Addis Ababa. They also will use this station design. And another innovation is also recently in Yichang. We have the worldwide first automatic extendable boarding platform in the BRT. So this can dramatically provide the BRT good access, level body and lighting, and increase the capacity and the speed. And it's cheap and easy to replicate in other cities. Also in China, other cities already use this system. There's a short video, but I don't think it works. If you have interest, you can go to our website. There's a video there. I want to give another example. Is the recently happened very amazing technology in China. Is the bike sharing system. It's different as the system in Europe and Paris. And we don't have a docking station and no deposit. So people just use mobile payment, can use it very fast. Also, all the fares are integrated throughout the whole China. So you can imagine it's very popular. And the cyclist increased by 650% within 1 year. And so also amazing for us. And just one night we can see, seems the bicycle kingdom is back to China now, not in Netherlands anymore. And they should get the venture capital investment. So they are competing for the market share and very popular. But this also provides the new challenging for us. This is not like BRT. BRT is from the government. This is from the private sector. But now they bring the questions and also the questions to our government because we didn't provide enough of the infrastructures. We don't have enough bicycle lanes and bike parkings. So this is force the government to force them to do something regarding the bicycle facilities, because the bike facilities are not very supporting China in the long term. And there are another 2 cities and also inspired by the demonstration project in China. So in Vientiane and also in Manila. Vientiane is a very high profile project in Asia. And the city are not big, it's 500,000, but it's very congested. So now the government decided to implement BRT and totally can transform the whole city. And this is BRT integrated with bicycle lane, also the good walking facilities, also plazas. This is the last slide. This is in Manila. And this may be the most congested city in Asia. And it takes 3 hours from the airport to the city center sometimes. And they already have the LRT on the top. So they will implement the BRT and integrate with the rail systems. Also, by this project, we will implement also the nice bike lane and the walkways. And this is the last slide, and I think still have some time. And I think in the short is I think the key is the demonstration project will have a dramatic impact on the decision makings, also on the sustainable development. For my own experience, I went to Bogota 7 times. Also, we invite Enrique Peneloso come to China to give the government and persuade them to implement BRT. Also, all the systems we receive many delegations, hundreds of the delegations from the world come to Guangzhou and come to the good systems. Also, I got invited to Africa also to help in this project. I think the knowledge sharing and the political support and the good technical input is the key to support the good demonstration project, also to replicate to more countries in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Xiaomei, for that brief presentation on the BRT in Asia and also specifically China. At this point, I would like to invite the floor if we have any point of clarification, anything that we would like Ms. Xiaomei to clarify, not for discussion, but a question for clarification. Thank you. I see no request for the floor. So we will proceed to the second expert to highlight climate-friendly and energy-efficient cooling as a building block for low-carbon urban development in Indonesia. The presentation will be made by Dr. Winfred. Dr. Winfred is a program director of energy in the GIZ, German Development Organization, in Delhi, India. He will be speaking on behalf of the GIZ Proclaimer Working Group from Indonesia. So let's have Mr. Winfred. Mr. Winfred, thank you.
Thank you. This is a suggestion of replacing HFC by natural refrigerant called propane. And we as GIZ doing similar projects all over the world. So I'm happy to present now the Indonesian case, but we have similar project in Thailand, looking forward in Vietnam, Philippines, and India to have similar activities. As you're aware, cooling will take up a lot of future energy demand. It's a driver for urban areas due to increasing of population, increased income, and obviously increasing temperature as well. I'm coming from Delhi. We have right now about 44 degrees Celsius. About 40% of energy consumption in urban areas will be absorbed for refrigeration and air conditioning. So this will accumulate a lot of greenhouse gases. And there's a large potential by converting refrigerant to propane to reduce this, not only because of energy efficiency, but also about the global warming potential of the refrigerant by itself. So setting up such a project replacing conventional refrigerant implies that you need the political will, that you need to be convinced that this is the right approach going for, not paying royalties to some few industrial firms, having local production of propane, as it's being done for cooking gas as well, and then entertain the advantage of the GWP and the energy efficiency. To achieve this within your country, you have to set up the standards for chillers to increase the demand on high efficiency chillers. You need to do some capacity development to handle this refrigerant. We are happy to support implementation of pilot measures in the Indonesian case. And then all over, it would be helpful to have a greenhouse gas mitigation strategy development, as we all agreed in the Montreal and the last year Kigali protocol. So this HFC will be phased out anyhow. So why don't leapfrog it right away and absorb the advantage of this different natural refrigerant? The enabling factors are addressing those issues and try to get the key stakeholders on national and urban levels convinced, including the industry, to produce those different type of chillers and refrigerant run devices. One needs to establish and mainstreaming safety and performance standards for achieving best available technology, and then finally makes the transition by comprehensive training and certification of manufacturers and importers, installation and service technicians, and energy auditors. So for any details, please refer to our websites, and I'm looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Winfred, for taking us through that brief but quite strong presentation. Do we have any point of clarification from the expert? For the expert? I see no request for the floor, so we will go to the last presentation this afternoon from Johnny Stuen. Johnny Stuen is a technical director of Waste to Energy Agency in the city of Oslo, Norway. He is also the chairperson of the Energy Recovery Group called ISWA, International Solid Waste Association. This afternoon, he will introduce an example of an integrated, innovative approach to waste to energy technology. And what's interesting is that this waste to energy is combined with carbon capture storage. So, Johnny, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll try to explain how we started from the core of a cyclic management of waste until use of energy from waste in a larger scale in the city of Oslo, and now trying to step into the carbon capture world from this waste as well. For the time being, we are able to recycle 39% of the waste coming from Oslo, and we are enabling 57% as waste to energy. And our goal is now to come to 50% of the waste to energy and then 40%, 45% of recycling. We are already recycling 50%, recovering 50% of the plastics from the households. That's the household is source sorting at their homes in blue bags, and we sort that out. And then we're recovering 66% of the food waste from the households. That food waste is then transformed into biogas, liquid biogas, and fertilizer, which is used on the farms around the city. We see that we can develop this biological treatment further on, and we are now using the same technology on wastewater treatment as well, and we are able to possibly produce around 15 million liters of, or the equivalent of 50 million liters of diesel in biogas. This is now used for buses and waste trucks already in the city, and we're trying to make this even more efficient into more heavy transport. The waste to energy is then produced of the residual waste. It's important that it's always from sorted waste. And the district heating system in Oslo is around just below 2 terawatt-hours per year. It represents 20% of the heating needs in Oslo during a year. And 60% of that is energy from waste. The rest is from electricity, from biomass, from heat pumps, from the wastewater treatment, but 60% is from the waste. And then the last picture is showing that all the residual from the biogas production is used as a fertilizer. So it's as efficient as compost, and we also get the energy out from it. So we take out the energy first, and then we use it as a fertilizer. The waste to energy part is also developed because the municipal waste of Oslo is 130,000 tons per year. But we import waste from other municipalities that doesn't have their own waste energy plants. And we import waste from UK for the moment. And we have a capacity of 450,000 tons of waste per year that we can transform into energy. This is, as I said, always sorted waste, should always be sorted waste. So we can take out the fractions that can be used in other directions first. And then we deliver around 1 terawatt-hour of energy in heat to the city every year. And then we thought of, why don't we move this into the next level, and that's carbon capture. We think that because we save greenhouse gases already in avoiding the waste from the landfill, we take out some of the waste and replace fossil products with the fractions from the waste. We save CO2 also in the district heating and electricity by using the energy from the waste. And now we can save even more CO2 for reuse or storage by capture it at the end of the incineration process. We think also that we can do this in the next 15 or 20 years. We can use carbon criteria in the waste tenders. These are of public tenders, and that will push maybe carbon further up in the waste hierarchy so we can avoid incinerating the carbon. And last but not least, 60% of the carbon, the CO2 from the waste is biogenic. 40% is fossil. So this is a carbon negative solution. This is one of the first carbon negative solutions that can be demonstrated, I guess. We've tested, and now we are into projecting the full-scale plant. The testing showed that this CO2 capture is stable and reliable at 90% from the flue gases. We can do this with a quite low energy penalty. 1 ton of waste represents 3 megawatt-hours of energy, more or less. We lose half a megawatt-hour per ton when we capture the CO2. At least that's what we know now. We hope that the full-scale project will be even leaner in the energy penalty. This is building competence in Norway, and we think that this is a large global transferability. There are more than 2,000 energy recovery plants in the world. The large ones are in Europe, but they are building a number of them in China, and hopefully also the rest of the world will adopt us. We are part of a larger Norwegian full-scale CCS project where we're one capture site, the other one is a cement plant, and the third one is a fertilizer plant. All these 3 plants are now projecting the full-scale capture plants, and we will have the same value chain from our plants to the Norwegian seabed outside in the North Sea, where this CO2 will be stored, and it will be stored forever. The project will be ready to operate in 2022. We can possibly start the plant in 2021, but that's just for testing. And we are looking forward to doing this, very much so. One of the main drivers for us is that waste energy must replace landfill. Landfill must, in some time, be extinct. And we think that the CO2 capture from the waste energy will provide, as it says, a steady source of bio-CCS in the foreseeable future. And I think that's it. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johnny, for taking us through the presentation, which looks at waste to energy for GHG emission reduction, as well as other products for multiple benefits. And it is also interesting to see the connection with carbon capture. Distinguished delegates and our colleagues, honorable stakeholders, do we have any point of clarification? Yes, I see a request for the floor from Mali. Mali, you have the
Thank you, moderator. My name is Birama Jarak. I'm from Mali, and I'm member for TEC. And first of all, I appreciate the 3 presentation, and I think it's a useful information you gave. I would like to know the cost for each presentation. I think it's a very, very useful technology, but what is the cost? Like the last presentation regarding the waste is ready to start in 2022. I would like to know the cost. How much taking this each technology? Thank you.
Thank you very much, our distinguished delegate from Mali. Do we have any other requests from the floor? In that case, may I please ask our experts to give us the estimated cost of establishing and implementing these innovative technologies. Thank you.
I'll start with the waste. To run the waste or the cyclic waste management in Oslo, that is also collection and some other fractions that have their own way, like glass and metal. They have their own sorting ways. To run these plants and run the collection, that's around €100 per inhabitant per year. The carbon capture is, however, for the time being, much more expensive. And so we know that the project will cost around €225 million to build. And we know that the cost per ton of CO2 will be somewhere between 25 and 75 euros per ton CO2 captured and then transported to the North Sea. So one of the core subject or objects of the carbon capture project is also to establish a value chain for this, and explain how it should be paid for. This is the first full-scale one, and this is a demonstration project, and should be it's going to be a first of a kind. So maybe the next project will be 50% of the cost, and the next again 25% of the cost. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Miss Xiaomei, what is the cost of the BRT?
Okay. I think for the public transportation options, BRT may be compared the cost and efficient. BRT is the best, because if compared with metro, it's 1/10 or to 100 times cheaper than metro. And also the capacity, because in my city, we carry more than 850,000 passengers per day, and with the cost only equal to 1 kilometer of metro. Fast, the period to implement. Once cost, once can implement very fast. So for the metro, it take 5 years in China, but BRT can take half a year or one year. And I also saw some people from Ethiopia, because we also helping the Addis Ababa BRT. And I think if in the morning and the delegation from Bogota said in Bogota, Mayor Enrique Penaloso will build 10 corridors in 5 years. So if you can do that in Addis Ababa, because Addis Ababa have the biggest BRT network plan in Africa, and it's very amazing. Your decision makers can have this plan, and if you can do it, you can totally transform your city within 5 years, and it will be a good demonstration for African cities. That is my answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Xiaomei. And for Winfred, for the energy efficiency in cooling and refrigeration, what is the projected cost? Thank you.
For example, Godrej is producing this propane ACs in India. They sold more than 250,000 by now. So the costs are very compatible to any other technology in the market. And for the entire economy, it might be even more beneficial because of the local content and the local production it can entertain.
Thank you very much, colleagues. From the tech, we have questions for the panel. So I will ask Stu, maybe to be the first one, Johnny Stu. What can we learn from these innovative approaches? And how can countries undertake successful technology leapfrogging and apply these innovative approaches in the context of their sustainable urban development?
3 points from the waste treatment in Oslo, I think. One is when you tell your inhabitants to sort your waste, you get much more aware of what you actually throw away. So that what we see is that the waste amount is reduced when we are introducing source sorting as a must in the households. That is one point. The other point is the use of local biomass as energy carrier. I mean, not only for the waste to energy, but also for the biogas. Biogas is a local food waste. It's waste from shops. It's waste from restaurants that can be transferred into transportation energy and fertilizer. The third one about the CO2 capture, it's more difficult because it has a more national or maybe international agenda, because CO2 is not a local problem, it's an international problem. So it must be, for us, we are trying to demonstrate this and then establish a value chain that can be used all over Europe. So I think what we can do is to demonstrate that the value chain will actually work. That is, and that is what we hope to achieve during this project.
Thank you very much. Xiaomei, you looked at the BRT systems. How do you think countries can undertake successful technology leapfrogging and apply these innovative approaches to the context of their sustainable urban development?
I think for my experience, and we learned from Bogota experience, and because I went to Bogota with many mayors and also the high-level decision makers, and when they see the demonstration project, when they really see and take the transmillennial system, and the leaders are really thinking and for their own cities, and it's very easy to persuade them also to implement, and many people never believe until they see it. I also remember even for the technical expert, if they didn't see, I remember in the early phase when we do the design for the government, and the very old and also respected experts can't believe and the capacity, and also doubt about our designs. So until they see it and they believe. So I think the good technical and the support also, like the knowledge sharing and from different countries is the key. And also the BRT is a good opportunity and for the cities to combine all the sustainable like urban approaches and into the same corridor, and then to transform the road and also the city into a urban road. And for example, they can integrate with bike sharing and also the metro systems. Because in our countries, all the big cities have metro. So, but the metro can't solve all the problems. Underneath is have metro, and on the ground level still have a lot of buses and mixed with the cars, and cause the pollution. So this BRT provides good opportunity to totally integration and transform. So I think, and after Guangzhou BRT, we reduced more than 45,000 tons of CO2 per year, and this will last for 20 years. So it's a great opportunity for also carbon reduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Winfred, how is your project a good example of leapfrogging?
I think it's great that a country like Indonesia commits themselves to make this leapfrogging and try to avoid paying all the money to multinational patented refrigerants. And one of the keys is to really increase the energy efficiency standards for these kind of refrigerant devices, air conditioning devices, and doing this by, for example, standard and labelings is a very easy tool to go for it. So when there is a political will, you can achieve a lot. And this requires, especially if you foresee the future demand on cooling devices, you can see how important it is to go this path and to go ahead.
Thank you, Winifred, and thank you, experts, for highlighting your views on the leapfrogging. I have requests from the floor. EU, Zimbabwe, Chad, and then Ethiopia. I'll start with the EU. Thank you.
Hi, yeah, thank you very much for the very excellent presentations and truly innovative solutions presented here. And also the link between circular economy and the reduction of carbon emissions and how that creates its own rationale for taking action has become very clear. I had a question that follows up on the chair's question on these success stories that you're really presenting. And I wonder, what do you see as the kind of key success factor in overcoming the kind of barriers you probably encountered? I'm asking this because I would be curious to learn how we can see what we can do in terms of scaling up such initiatives, and what you would give in terms of advice. Just to mention, from the EU side, we support the Covenant of Mayors, which to some extent fosters this kind of knowledge sharing between cities, and by that also like engages or helps in mobilizing funding that's maybe needed for upscaling. But I'm curious to hear your observations. Thank you.
Zimbabwe.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the presenters. I'm Elisha from Zimbabwe, the CTCN focal point. I have a question to the presenters as a follow-up maybe to what EU has presented, and to appreciate the presentations. I wanted to find out the feasibility of having such initiatives in developing countries. What are the barriers that have to be gotten past to enable this, especially for waste? How do you, does it work in urban centers? What are the critical enabling environments that are required? The same with the BRT. Wanted to check whether this requires some special infrastructure, especially in our roads. In part of the world where we come from, at times the roads may not be as good. So do you need additional investments in other infrastructure to have the bus mass transit system? And my last question, we in Southern Africa were developing a strategy for energy, for efficient appliances with CTCN and other NDEs. Wanted to find out in the case of Indonesia and maybe India from the cooling project, is there any regional standard for appliances, or is each country has its own labeling and standardization? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zimbabwe, for those comments and questions. May I please ask Chad?
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. My name is Hamid Abakar. I'm from Chad, and I'm speaking on behalf of LDC. Thank to the Secretariat for having organized this event hosted by Tech. And I also like to thank the chair of Technology Executive Committee. And I would like to thank all the panelists for the wonderful presentation. Madam Moderator, allow me to highlight some concern on behalf of LDC as following. First, enhancing innovative policy and technology solutions are the key for sustainable development. For the least developed country, accessing financial and technical support is a critical element of generating technology solution for mitigation as well adaptation. The LDC also needs support for research, development, and diffusion of new innovative technology that are appropriate to our situations. The technology needs to be cost effective, and priority as LDC is to give consideration to the development of endogenous technologies. Thank you, Madam Moderator. And I would like to end my intervention by asking panelists the following question. The first is, I would like to ask the panelists from China and Indonesia GIZ, if they had a support for this project. What national processes did you take to develop this innovative approach? Were the outcome of the project of UNFCCC processes such as the TNA, TAP, etc.? And the last one, did you have assistance for the technology mechanism like CTCN? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chad, for those comments and also questions to our panelists. The last one on my list currently is Ethiopia. Ethiopia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and all panelists for your very inciting presentation on the issue of innovation that we are really looking forward to address the challenge we are facing now in many parts of the world, especially those countries in developing and in least developing. My first intervention is to Norway, obviously partly approached by Zimbabwe. As we have seen from presentation, the transferability of this waste energy technology is so many multiple benefits for mitigation as well as energy security challenge now we are facing. As you know, in Africa, as Africans, so many people are access problem for energy, what they are looking for. The waste energy innovative, the technology is key for Africa and Ethiopia as African country. As we have seen from transferability, it is only limited in US, China, and Japan. That is obviously, that suggests it is the technology transferability is on within the limited countries. My question is, what is the real barrier for transferring this technology to African countries like Ethiopia to be benefited to address the climate challenge, and at the same time those co-benefits this innovative technology may deliver for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished delegate from Ethiopia. To our panelists, we have a number of issues and questions that have been raised from the floor relating to factors to overcome the barriers, feasibility of these innovations, creating enabling environment, what kind of infrastructure is required, especially for developing countries, and also looking at regional standards, specifically for the cooling and refrigeration. And we also had comments relating to financial and technical support for the developing countries to implement these innovative technologies. And also what kind of national processes have the countries undergone, especially Indonesia. Was this from a TNA outcome? And was there any assistance from the technology mechanism, specifically the CTCN? And also looking at the core benefits that these innovations can deliver. So they said the nearest is the dearest. I'll start with Winifred. So maybe you may look at all the requests, all the points that have been raised from the floor, and then I'll go to Xiaomei.
Let me start out to explain what is the disadvantage of propane. Obviously, most countries are using it for cooking. So you're very used to it, but obviously it's burning. So coming from an industry advantage, You have the advantage of setting up the production line, then fill in the conventional HFC gases. And then those HFC gases are mostly patented. So you're able to earn additional money as industry selling the cooling devices. So it's very nice for industry. And keeping in mind that there are only very few international, multinational firms delivering those kinds of devices, it's an additional significant way of increasing income. So what needs to be done is that you have the political will to get this abolished. We all agreed on it on the Kigali meeting last year and Montreal Protocol, so it will be phased out anyhow. And up to now, it will not incur significant higher cost for the end consumer. So why don't we leapfrog and go for it right away? If there's a political will in the country, if there are initiatives of handling this. Handling means you are required to train the technicians and the people who are dealing with those devices. It's basically a training effort required for the country. And then you can switch the production line very easily to this other kind of refrigerants that increase, in general terms, energy efficiency significantly as well, besides all the large potential on the GWP. There was a question about the labeling, standard and labeling. There's a significant standard and labeling program in India. And right now, I'm aware about a project in the Asian countries to have a kind of common standard and labeling for very many devices, but I think it's not in place yet. The question is, had been raised about further assistance. We as GIZ are happy, and if you approach myself, we can check and develop probably a program for your country as well. But this we have to determine in details, and it depends. Obviously, we are proud on always working as a political support to the specific administration and political will of the specific country. So the ownership of the country is very important. So if there's ownership from your side, let's see and let's develop a program for your country how to come up with those natural refrigerant devices. And for the last question from your side, I'm not aware whether it has been part of the technical needs assessments yet, but probably it will come up in the future.
Thank you very much, Winfred. Before I go to Xiaomei, let me highlight that from the floor, we are also looking at your experiences, lessons that you have from your countries, from your organizations in implementing these innovative technology solutions. Xiaomei.
For the mobility plan and also urban transport, I think it's political decide transport, no matter in China or in other countries. So first is in our country, we have the national policy to support the best priority, also support the sustainable transport, especially from the current president. And so it's a good opportunity. But although we have the good national policy, but in China, the transport, the funding is from the city level. So the mayors have more power than the central government regards what the city will do. So the city level decision making is the key. But how to persuade the mayors, and I think that is just what they see. So they have to see the good projects the other cities implement. So they can be convinced, because the bus priority is always difficult also in China, because the cars, the decision makers are driving, they not take public transport. So I think the national policy also the good demonstration is make it works. And for the questions about the feasible, like the infrastructures requirement, I think for the BRT systems, and it's got implement in the very big varieties. They implement in the big cities, and like Mexico and also Buenos Aires. and there's more than 20 million population, and also in the small size cities and even only 500,000. So the different size cities have a different look. You have to design for your local conditions. And in general, we think if the road more than 34 meters wide and with congestion, you can implement BRT. But in Quito and even in African cities in Tanzania, they implement the bus all-in corridors. So the road is all-in designed for the bus. They ban the cars. So even in Tanzania, they can do it. I think it's this political decision if you will give the priority to the bus or not. So I think in this case, and if you want to do it, you can do it. The cost is cheap, it's feasible, and especially in the Asian cities and or in the cities where you have a lot of population, should give priority to the public. And for the national output, for the outcomes, and I think, and in Guangzhou, the second biggest city, biggest BRT system, we achieved the mode share about 7%. But in Yichang, in the medium-sized cities, we achieved 30% for the mode share, mode shift. And also, we achieved the carbon reduction, and also the car speed also increased. So the BRT not like to make the cities, the other traffic all be stuck, only give the bus priority. So with the good design, you can achieve the win-win. So especially in our country, and we have to have the very good like traffic impact analysis. So not make the cities traffic situations getting worse after BRT implement. So the BRT can increase the capacity, also provide a better solutions for the citizens, so they can reduce the car usage. Thank you.
And Johnny.
Yeah. First, I'll try to take them in order of importance. You have to establish the responsibility or the ownership of the waste. That's the first. It must be clear who is responsible of all the waste in the society. In Norway, it's the municipality. It can be other bodies that can have it, but you must be a responsible body for the waste. Then you can start to collect it in a good way, and then you can start to use it. Second, you need to have an energy plan. You can get 20 to 30% of electricity out of waste to energy plants. But you can get the last of the energy, 70% in Norway and Sweden and Denmark. We use it for heating because we need the heating in winter. But you can use the heat for example, using the heat to produce water from salt water. I know there's a project in Oman, I think, on the way up, that they will use the heat from these plants to produce water instead of using it for district heating. Thirdly, you need to have a public acceptance of these plants. It's been, sad to say, some bad examples in the 70s and 80s where the treatment of the flue gases wasn't good enough, and then we had the dioxin problem, and you had all other problems. Now the standards for treating these gases are much more stricter here than in, for example, coal-powered power plants. So we let out much less than these plants. So you must implement a very heavy standard on the emissions from these plants because it's possible, and then you will have maybe the public acceptance because it's important. And then mitigation to replace other energy producers. Maybe that can be done that must be done, I guess, by taxes, either lowering the taxes on energy coming from waste, or raising the taxes of energy coming from fossil. One example is biogas, which can be used as fuel for buses and trucks. If they have a lower tax on biogas than on diesel, you can use this one, and this will be efficient. And last, to make it a functioning market, we need to have international standards on waste trading and on trading of products from waste. We see that in Europe there is now coming up a market where waste is traded all over the countries, and the standard must be adopted to make sure that we have the same, let's say, a level playing field all over Europe. Otherwise, you will have substandard solutions in some places. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see Grenada requesting for the floor, and also Kenya. From those who are outside the table, do we have any requests? Sharing of lessons, experiences? Grenada.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the presenters for these very inspiring presentations. A question was asked earlier on the costs, and I think that was driving at the business case. My question will be, what are the major social and environmental concerns and risks of those innovative projects? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Grenada, for that question to our experts. Kenya.
Thank you, moderator, and thank you very much, presenters. Sorry that I came in when the presentations were going on, but I still found, I think, a better part of them, and quite interesting because what I see is cities taking action. What I wonder is, are these actions mostly motivated by their desire to address climate, or is it, or does climate have a part in this action? That is the first question. And the second is, we realize that on the UNFCCC, there is a Nazca platform where cities made pledges, just like other institutions, private sector, banks, and the rest. Could the cities we are talking about here be part of that platform? Could they have been part of those that made pledges to take climate action in some way? And if that is the case, then probably what guidance, technological guidance did they have, probably from where, so that at least their actions can be quantified in terms of response to climate as well? Those two. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our delegate from Kenya. So to our panelists, we have a question from Grenada. What are the major social and environmental risks? From Kenya, what is the motivation of these innovative policies and technology solutions, establishing them and implementing them? What is the motivation? And also, there is Nazca. Maybe Kenya, you can say what that means. Nazca, it's...
Well, this is a platform for the non-state actors who have made a pledge to take action, climate action. And they are part of, they have a platform within the UNFCCC. You can see on the website, so many cities have made pledges, so many banks. Most of these are in the Western countries. Not so many of them are in developing countries. But then you may lead me to a third question, moderator. How can we put our cities also on this platform? Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I give the floor to the experts, this time starting with Xiaomei, and then we'll have Johnny, and finally Winfred.
Okay, thank you. For the social and environmental risk for the BRT, I think it's I never answered this question before, but I think for the good design, and you can be successful. So if you design like at some other Chinese cities, the BIT got taken out, so it doesn't work. So it's also like maybe in India, I'm not sure if have Indian delegations, also in Vietnam. And in some cities, and the BIT turns out and it makes the traffic even worse. And so that is the social risk. Also in some cities in our country, and some mayors have to come out and apologize. So I think that is also the risk. For if you do good, like Bogota and Guangzhou, then the mayors got promoted, so no risk. For the environmental risk, I don't know what is the. I can't answer these questions, but I think we increase the speed and also reduce the pollution and the congestion. It's better for the environmental. Thank you.
Johnny?
Yeah, the social risk, I think, is what related to what I said about public acceptance. There is some myths and stories about these plants that must be handled early, because people are a bit afraid of large industrial plants in their neighborhood, so they must be handled early. So that's a social risk. Environmental risk, if we use good, best available technique standards, lower than on many other energy producing platforms. So not really a large risk, but must be according to standards. The motivation. We were already having these plants, some of these plants, in a smaller scale than we had before. But then politicians of Oslo gave their pledge to some very ambitious climate goals already in 2006. So the plants have been built after that during the years up to 2012, 2013, to enable us to reach those climate goals, but also to make sure that this is a part of the energy security plan for the city. As I said, this is providing 20% of the heating need to the city, and that is important for us on cold days where the electricity supply into the city can be a bit stressed. Nazca, I don't know, but I know Oslo is an example city in the C40 system, and we have some ambitious politicians that want to be the European climate capital of so I guess they will also be eager to be meeting other plants. I cannot tell.
Answering on the refrigerant issue, well, propane is very usable all over the world, but it's burning. So you can't replace the current refrigerant by using propane in the same device. So you need the new device, which is catered to using propane. This implies if you are having a very small market share or a very small country, you might encounter some difficulties of companies providing this new kind of technology. And obviously you need trained technicians who are able to implement the ACs and so on locally. But educating them, having the training sessions is no big deal. So this is the only social concern and risk on environmental issues I can conceive of. On the question of motivation, this is done by GIZ. So on behalf of the German government, we are looking forward of reducing CO2 emissions and pushing sustainability. So this is part of it.
Thank you very much. Do we have any? Okay. Canada.
Thank you, and thank you for the very interesting four presentations. A few of you in the last three presentations mentioned the importance of the political buy-in, and I was just wondering if any of you, or all three, have some ideas on the experiences or best practices between in the dynamics between the public and private sectors. And it can be very costly to introduce new technologies and to innovate. And then when you have that solution, you need also the government or the municipality on board. So I was just wondering any insight into those public-private dynamics and their respective roles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Canada. Do we have anyone who would like to share experience, either on BRT, waste management? Okay, thank you. Our panelists for the Canada question.
I can start for the waste. I mean, to introduce these technologies, you need to have a public guarantee, at least, for financing them. But waste energy is now as mature as it is, so that is now run by private companies in the north of Europe. But biogas and carbon capture is still so expensive and not as mature as the other ones, and it's not a mature market either. So that must be still at least publicly guaranteed, and maybe also publicly financed in some years. But it will hopefully be a market for it.
In the cooling area, I think it's a fight between governments who are pushing these areas versus very large private producers, and might not be beneficial for those large private producers. So you have to push them, being a large country, of doing it. I am aware that in China there are quite some discussions going on, and we might see a significant shift in those production approaches. That would help worldwide significantly, because you are the major producer of those devices at the moment. But similar things applies to other large countries as well. So it's a question of when is the political will emerging, and how strongly are they pushing to shift the production lines.
Xiaomei.
Thank you. I think for the BRT project, and we have big involvement by the private sector, because the government built the infrastructure, and the operators are most private operators. And with the system, the bus operators can reduce the operation cost. Also, the drivers can drive faster, and they are the most bigger benefit parties. And also in the BRT, we need to reconstruct the institution structure, and also to integrate the informal, like the paratransit, the informal small minibus operators, have to integrate them into the trunk BRT operators. So this is we need to attract the private investment and also the private operators. And also for this big project, and it's normally the most high profile project in the city. So we also have the communications and the public participation. So everything a lot, I think, is getting involved with the private sectors. And also it's interesting is in China, in one city, we have the bus operators provide the financing for the whole system. It's not provide the funding by the government. So it's also a new trial in China. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Xiaomei. Since there isn't any request from the floor, as it was indicated earlier by the chair of TEC, Michael, This specific thematic area is to contribute to the work of the tech. So in this regard, maybe as participants to this TEM, we can contribute towards the work of the tech. So what do we believe are the next steps that the tech should take as regards to this TEM, in terms of how to scale or to upscale the work on these innovative policies and technology solutions, as well as replicating in other developing countries? And what are the takeaways from this session? So what should be the way forward for the tech? What do we recommend? Jamaica.
All right, thank you, Chair. I was just sitting and thinking, as it relates to the way forward, our next steps, what role does research and development plays as it relates to developing new ideas, new innovations that can be adopted across our parties? So that would be one thing. Having some kind of mechanism whereby research and development is key to improving on our innovations and ideas and coming up with new ones. That's one. Two, it's the first I'm hearing of this committee. So the next suggestion would be to try to sensitize the parties as to the existence of the committee, its function, and how it could aid them going forward as it relates to technology adoption and innovation. Yeah, those would be my comments.
Okay, thank you very much, Jamaica. So we would want to enhance research and development to improve innovation, and you also want more visibility on the tech, its functions, more awareness to parties. Maybe Michael, you can say something on that.
Yes, thank you. No, I just want to take the opportunity to announce that the tech again will hold a special event on innovation on Friday, the 12th May, in room Nairobi. I don't know the exact timing, but maybe if you're interested, you can look it up. And this is a one-day event, and which will focus on how innovation can support the implementation of national determined contribution and mid-century strategies. And you're, of course, all welcome to that one. Thank you.
What else can the tech take forward from this discussion? As Michael highlighted, the objective is of the tech, the main one is to submit policy recommendations to parties regarding technology development and transfer. I see Norway.
Thank you, Stella, and thank you to for all the presentations. I should maybe not do this since I'm a member of the tech, but I found it especially interesting to see that there are connections between what we heard about the rapid bus system and also the waste management system, because they could feed together. So there are actually solutions that feed into each other. So it would be interesting for the tech to explore ways that do not follow regular sectors but go cross-sector and could benefit from working together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Norway. I also see Mali requesting the floor. Mali.
Thank you, Moderator. I think for the recommendation, this innovation is the best way to try to implement a technology framework, because we need to focus on that for this session. I think this innovation is the best way to try to implement the technology framework. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mali. So we have takeaways that have been highlighted by Jamaica, Norway, and Mali to enhance research and development, to improve innovation, to look at cross-sector linkages, and also we should see this as the best way to implement the technology framework which was established under the Paris Agreement and currently under elaboration. Distinguished delegates and honorable stakeholders, we have had a rich discussion based on the presentations from our colleagues. I see Kenya, last one.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to also say something about this. I brought up the NASCA issue because I think there's a lot that is going on that has to do with emission reduction, has to do with energy access and efficiency, renewable energy, private finance, use of carbon prices, resilience, that have been pledged. And they have been pledged by various actors, and it's on the non-state actor platform that, as I said, some are on transport, building, forestry, and the rest. I think the tech should get familiar with all this so that if there is any need for technology response or anything that the tech could render service to, then they can, because it's one thing to make a pledge and another to do the right thing about it. And all these things have to be done, most of them with technology applied. Some of them could just be advice, but it's good to be aware that this is happening. And it's happening as a result of the convention. And that's why they've been given a platform here. So I would encourage tech to get very familiar with all these, and probably other cities as well, because they could assist other cities. There are already works done that these other cities that are making pledges could borrow from as a peer kind of mentorship or whatever. And this will add up to the total that we require as global climate action, because ultimately what we would like is to achieve what the agreement has, and that is to be within the temperature rise that has been described as the main objective of the Paris Agreement. So just for information, awareness is very important on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that is also an additional message to the tech to see how the work of the NASCA can be brought on board. As I indicated, we have had very good presentations from China, Indonesia, and also from Norway. And we have had rich discussions. I may not be able to summarize everything, but we see that innovations, these new technology solutions will deliver multiple benefits in addition to the greenhouse gas emission reductions. But there are a number of issues that maybe we have to, there are a number of steps that we have to take to ensure that we implement these innovative solutions, like political will, country ownership, having national policies and local level policies. We should also look at the cost efficiency of these technologies, financial and technical support, role of the public and also public acceptance, and many more issues. There is a wrap-up session on Friday on all the TEMs, where we will have a summary of our TEM being presented. So please, you are invited to attend this wrap-up of the TEMs, where we will present the summary and what we have discussed. Distinguished delegates and our honorable stakeholders, thank you very much for being very good participants to this TEM, which its outcomes will influence the work of the Technology Executive Committee, which is part of the technology mechanism of the UNFCCC. Thank you very much.